Hi, we're Sid and Sue and welcome to Twin Oaks, our garden in Hampshire.
In the main pond here we have quite a few fish, and a lot of people ask me whether we have problems with herons. What I did many years ago was I put these supports in. There's about 5 or 6 of them around the ponds, and I strung fishing line from one to the next. It's quite invisible, and what happens, the heron will always land on the ground and walk to the pond. It will never land in the water unless it knows the depth of the water. It will walk towards the pond, and then it comes up against this on its leg. It can't step over because the way the knee of a heron works, it just can't step over. So it will back up and eventually give up. We've changed the fishing line to these micro LEDs, which is quite nice at night. They light up, and it still works the same. We've never lost any fish since we've done this now. The only fish we lose very occasionally is a kingfisher that comes in, and he's quite pretty, so he's okay to have a couple. These are pitcher plants, Sarracenia. A lot of people think they're tropical plants. They come from North America, but they are fine in this country right through the year. The pond in the winter freezes over. These stay out here and they're fine. They can survive it, no problem at all. All that happens is in the spring you will see that the tips of the trumpets will have died off a bit. So all you need to do is just take the trumpet off like that. Leave the main part there because there's still flies inside that are giving nutrition to the plant. Eventually new shoots will come up, new trumpets will form, and as they do, these will die off naturally, and then you can just snip them away. All of the water in the garden here is not a natural source. We don't have a stream running through the garden, so everything is pumped, which can cost a bit on electricity, but we don't have the pumps running all the time. The stream here I dug, and it's sourced from the main lily ponds. There's a pump in the main lily ponds which recirculates the water. It's quite good because we get a lot of wildlife come in just for the stream. We get a lot of birds that drink and bathe in the water.
This is another one of our water features in the garden. Again, it's pumped water to give the illusion of a stream running through from one side of the garden to the other, which give us the opportunity to put a couple of bridges in. And already the water is colonised with newts, and saw dragonfly larvae in there. Also water skaters all on the top of the surface. We've had frogs in there and tadpoles this year. So all in all, I think we're being very wildlife friendly.
This is Enseti ventricosa morellii, also known as the Abyssinian banana. It's quite tender even in the UK, and this specimen here has been indoors over the winter in taking it easy, but we've just put it in to the ground again now. It might be a bit early because you've got to protect it from frost. If there are any frost coming in, then we will have to wrap it up in fleece, but at the moment we've got quite good weather here, which is why we put it in, and as you can see, this is already springing into life again.
As with most things in the garden, we try to be a bit wildlife friendly, and the latest addition is a bug hotel that my husband's made. A lot of the materials in the garden are reclaimed, recycled, and this is no exception. It's got shiplap on the sides, we've got doorknobs down there, we've got plastic mesh here, odd bits of timber which got holes in for bees and things to go into, fir cones down the bottom, bits and pieces. We've already got spiders invaded in here, so they've made that their home. And underneath is an open space that hopefully through this tunnel hedgehogs will find their way in and make their home in the winter.
Just last year we decided to invest in some tree ferns, just as these largest one we've got. And once again in the spring, these fronds would normally be above our heads here, but over the winter they drop down. And some people cut these off in the winter, but I've always found it best to leave them while they're green, leave them on here because they're still taking in nutrition. New ones will be coming up here, and once they've come up, these will gradually die off a bit more, and then you can just cut them off back to the trunk here, and that is what forms this surface. This is one of these smaller tree ferns we got. As you can see, these are the small fronds that are just beginning to open up now. We're in April at the moment, towards the end of April, almost into May, and so these will come out really quickly now. As they come out, these might start dying off, in which case that's when you just cut them off at the trunk.
Well, this is my domain, the greenhouse. It's a lockdown project, and I'll show you what I've got in here. Most of the stuff in here is cuttings from the garden, because I don't like throwing anything away. So it gets put in a pot if it self-seeds in the garden and gets planted out later on, or it gets passed on to neighbours and friends. One thing that I have got down here, it did self-seed, and I had to look this one up, is a giant herb Robert called a Geranium Madeira. I've never heard of it, but I don't know what it's going to do. It's in a pot at the moment, and hopefully in the summer it can go out in the warmer weather, and we'll see what it can do. We have hanging baskets all planted up, ready to go out when the weather turns better. And carnivorous plants. My husband has commandeered this corner for some more of his plants. So he's got the window open so that the flies can come in. So hopefully they'll keep the green fly off as well. My husband also installed for me 2 water tanks in here, which collect the water off of the roof of the greenhouse, which is quite considerable as it's quite a big expanse of roof, and thereby the water is inside the greenhouse and it will absorb the heat from the greenhouse, so at night when the temperatures drop there will still be a little bit of heat left in the greenhouse to keep the temperature slightly higher than it is outside. And this is the other water tank, both of which will serve the greenhouse because the temperature of the water inside the tanks will be the same as the greenhouse temperature, and therefore it won't shock the plants when I use it for watering them. So that's another reason to have water inside the greenhouse.
Here we are at the far end of the garden. It's quite quiet at this end of the garden, so this is why we decided to put a wildlife pond in. There's no fish in here, it's just newts and frogs. We are very shady here. We've got some large trees above us here, oaks and beech trees. And in the autumn, obviously, we get a lot of leaves come down onto the pond. We tried netting the pond originally, but that wasn't very successful because the weight of the leaves just sits on the net and weights it down into the water. So all we can do now is once every 3 years we have to gut the ponds. We have to get all the dead leaves out, put it around the edges so that any wildlife in there can then crawl back into the water over a day or two.
This plant is a Gunnera manicata. It's like a giant rhubarb. Loves damp conditions, and at the moment it's springtime, so it's only just coming up. But later on, in a few weeks perhaps, it will get big enough so that the leaves are absolutely enormous. I can stand underneath them, and that's quite easy to do because I'm only short, but it's such a lovely plant to have if you've got the room. I think at the heart of any garden is a compost bin, and yes, we've got one as well. It's made out of old pallets, and we've got it in 3 sections. That's so that you can start off by filling one up with all the green prunings and kitchen waste, but I'm a bit particular. I won't put apple cores and things in because I don't want to encourage rats and things to multiply around here. So anyway, once that's full up, it then gets turned into the second bin, by which time you'll find you've got lots of worms in there all doing their job, which is great. And thirdly, when that one's filled, then you turn it into the final one, and then when that's all dried and worked its way down, you end up with something like this, which is what I sieved this afternoon, and it's beautiful, wonderful stuff. That was Basil, our tame blackbird. Anyway, if you're not lucky enough to have a big garden or can do a big pond, then your next best thing is probably a little water feature like this. It's just half a whiskey barrel with a little pump in it, a few little baskets with little plants in, and it just makes a nice little feature for a small space. This is the best part of the day, when you can just sit down with a cuppa in your favourite spot. Here we are by the wildlife pond, where the Clematis montana is absolutely in its best at the moment, and we absolutely love it here. I hope you've enjoyed the visit here and enjoy your gardens as much as we enjoy ours. Thank you for watching. Bye.